at least, how are the Jets scoring more than 10 points?
How are they scoring and how are they stopping the Raiders? Their defense couldn't stop one guy. How are you stopping Derek Carr, who's 9-1 in his last 10 starts? How are you stopping him with beast mode, with Cooper? I mean, how are you doing it?
Well, there's only so many points, right? Because you look at Seattle. Seattle's home against San Francisco. San Francisco looks like they're going to be one of the worst teams in football, right? And Seattle coming off a loss home, that spread's only 14.5. So I could say the same thing about San Francisco against Seattle. So, I mean, I guess you can't make it. What can you make the spread? 20? You're not going to do that. It's not college football. Rarely
I
do
think
you
by
see
the end of the year, if the Jets continue to play like this, like maybe even week 10, we'll see a 20-point spread against a great team.
Well, who's
because
better?
They can't score.
I understand New England gave up a bunch of points on opening day, but who's a better team, the Raiders or the Patriots?
I'd say the Patriots.
Right. So if they're a 13.5 or 14-point dog at Oakland, what are they going to be in New England? Now you're talking. But at this rate, it would probably be, maybe 16.5? But you're right. If this team's like floating around 0-14, yeah, that's a possibility we could see a 20-point spread.
Our coverage on 98.7 ESPN on Sunday begins at 2. 2-hour pregame show. We have the game live at 4 o'clock.
KFC.
Already it's been decided, Peter, that halftime eating, or once the game starts eating, is Kentucky Fried Chicken again, and Greg Butler will bring it in.
I got to tell you, I don't know how you guys do it every week. And KFC is a delightful thing, but every week is
every week. That's all Buttle does is KFC.
I worry about Buttle.
It used to be a negotiation. It used to be like, what do you want to have? And it seemed like every third or fourth week it would be KFC. Now it's gotten to the point where it's just KFC or nothing. Like last week, it was nothing.
But the beautiful thing about Buttle, though, he pays for it.
Right, so it's a fair trade, right?
And Don makes a lot of money, too, and Don's got alligator arms. He never pays for anything.
That's not true.
I think Don would be willing to chip in for some KFC, but I just think it would be nice to see, mix it up a little bit.
But is it a fair trade-off, lack of variety for it being free? And as you said, KFC's delightful.
Well, how about pizza? Pizza's always a good go-to.
Here's the problem.
It is New York City, right?
The reason I go with chicken is because it's something you kind of pick on throughout the entire game. You really can't do that with pizza. You have your slices and you're done. But it's nice
go back
to have
for more.
Yeah, but how many pies are you going to get?
You get 6.
No. And plus, RJ's watching his figure, so he doesn't partake.
He weighs 94 pounds.
I know, but that's why. He keeps an eye on it.
And 8 of those pounds are hair.
I can't believe he had different hair when he was in Rochester.
The man's got tremendous hair.
Beautiful hair. It's envious hair. That's the Gang Green Report, brought to you by Weil McLean. Winter is coming. Be prepared with a Weil McLean high-efficiency boiler available at General Plumbing Supply with 16 locations serving New York and New Jersey and online at gpsheating.com. Also, they're going to lose Lorenzo Malden for the entire season with back surgery, and that was somebody that they considered important. Nothing's going right for this team.
No, it's not. And we had Morris Claiborne on. He said he's going to be fine, but he's still a little nicked up. It's ridiculous, Michael. I mean, they're going to be an underdog in every game that they play this year. It's just a matter of, do they improve?
Tri-State Buick GMC listener hotline, Natalie in Rockaway. Natalie.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. So first, I have to say, you mentioned Brendan Cuddy before. We've been friends since high school, so I just wanted to say thanks for giving a shout-out to him. That was pretty cool to hear.
He's very good at what he does.
Yeah, very good.
He is. Also, so I turned 30 this week.
Oh, happy
birthday.
Thank you. So I'm 30 years old, and I've known Cuddy since about high school, and that was probably the last time I heard anybody using 411.
You've never used 411
Thank you very much.
Probably not since high school.
Well, so Natalie, you're out and your friends go, let's get something to eat. Why don't we go to a good restaurant? And you say, okay, I want to go to Del Frisco's. And you don't call 411 to get the number. You'd rather go to
you go on Google.
Yeah.
But that takes longer.
No, it doesn't. Never forget this moment, guys.
All you have to do is 411.
You say, okay, Google, and there you go.
You know what? When I get back in the studio, Peter, and Natalie, you could join in, we'll actually have a race. Who could get the number of a restaurant sooner?
Okay, hold on. Michael, just right now, I'm holding my phone, but I'm not in Google. Name a business number you want.
The Pentagon.
The Pentagon?
Yeah.
All right.
Now who's Googling?
I got it.
411, I'd have it already.
No, you wouldn't. I got it.
What?
I
Now
am.
you
Dog's
said
name on the air.
411.
Calling
Yeah,
it.
real fast.
It's calling. I'm already calling it. That's the
Yeah, he's
difference.
already got the number, Michael.
Good afternoon. You have reached the Department of Defense Operations Service.
I'm glad. It makes me feel comfortable to know they're too busy to answer the phone.
That's good.
Yeah, if they'd answered, that
Yeah.
was very disconcerting.
Like if they answer, Pentagon, what do you need?
This is Steve. Hey, anything else,
Like if
Michael?
Rex Tillerson picked up, that would be somewhat
Pentagon,
unnerving.
this is Tex. This is Rex.
You call 411, you're on hold, and
Let's go to Chris in Cresskill. What's up, Chris?
Hey, Michael, Don, Peter, great show. I listen to you guys every day.
Thank you,
Chris.
Chris.
Michael, it does sound like you got up on the wrong side of the bed today.
I did.
That's not why I'm calling. Don, I couldn't agree with you more on what you're saying about the Giants, the offensive line, and Eli Manning. Well, based on everything you said, the end of last year, coming to this year, what is going to change? I don't see anything changing.
I don't see it. Now, maybe like Peter said, maybe there's that Victor Cruz moment where there's an offensive lineman that they already got the screenplay ready that's going to come in here and lead them all the way to a championship. But outside of that, I mean, you just can't feel good about it. And again, I had them 9-7 to start the year, Michael. So is 7-9 that crazy a thought?
It's not crazy. I don't understand how you could possibly give up on a team after a second game. But you've made your points. We've made ours, and we'll see.
Well, I mean,
Let's hope that we don't come to this.
Listen.
We'll talk more about it on Monday because the Giants playing Monday night. We'll see what the Giants do.
I want to be wrong, and I'm going to continue to follow the team, Michael. I'm just saying that if you can't beat Detroit with a healthy Odell Beckham Jr. and you struggle offensively, and is the reason you can't beat them, I don't see it changing in the next upcoming weeks to save the season. I don't.
This is the Michael K. Show podcast. Looking for more behind-the-scenes access to the show? Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at TMKSESPN.
The Red Sox and the Yankees have been fined undisclosed amounts for the recent sign stealing imbroglio. Okay. The Yankees had recently filed a complaint with the commissioner's office that the Red Sox were using Apple Watches to steal signs. Red Sox filed a counter-complaint alleging the Yankees did something similar with the S Network cameras. They found insufficient evidence for sign stealing by the Yankees. However, their investigation did uncover the Yankees used the bullpen phone improperly in previous seasons. So they're going to be fined, too. Nonsense.
Oh, come on.
I mean, they just so the Red Sox don't get upset.
Yeah.
By the way, do the Red Sox now apologize to the Yes Network for saying that we did something wrong, that we were part of this when they didn't find any evidence of doing it? I wonder.
Doubt it. But Major League Baseball made an effort to make this seem like it was equal.
Right,
But
and it's not.
But everything we've seen, you had to dig back a couple of years ago for improper use of phone. And now it makes it seem like, oh, well, they both got fined. We don't know. It's undisclosed. We don't know how much more the Red Sox got fined, if indeed they did get fined more than the Yankees. And now the perception is that it's a wash, and it shouldn't be. Because from everything that we saw, the Red Sox were in the wrong here, more wrong certainly than the Yankees, and that the punishment should be stiffer. But baseball now comes across like they actually did something where I don't think they should get credit for doing anything.
Now, Manfred's statement, first, the violation in question occurred without the knowledge of ownership or front office personnel. Second, when the Red Sox learned of the Yankees' complaint, they immediately halted the conduct in question and then cooperated completely in my investigation. I have received absolute assurances from the Red Sox there will be no further violations of this type. Third, our investigation revealed the clubs have employed various strategies to decode signs that do not violate our rules. The Red Sox strategy violated our rules because of the use of an electronic device. In the wake of the Yankees' complaint to the office, the Red Sox brought forward allegations the Yankees had made improper use of the Yes Network in an effort to decipher the Red Sox signs. Commissioner's office also investigated this allegation, and the Yankees fully cooperated with the investigation. During that investigation, we found insufficient evidence to support the allegation the Yankees had made improper use or inappropriate use of the YES Network to gain a competitive advantage.
Just seems very lazy.
A little bit. There's a big game going on right now, Cubs and the Cardinals. And Cardinals come into this 3 games behind the Cubs in the Central. And in the game, and the Cubs lead this game 8-2. They scored 7 runs in the 6th inning, but their starting pitcher, John Lackey, and their catcher were thrown out. Now, I understand umpires can't take total abuse, and the pitch that they were complaining about was clearly out of the strike zone. But in a game of this magnitude, you're going to throw out the starting pitcher and the starting catcher of the Cubs? It's kind of weird. Umpires really have to realize who people are paying to see.
It's interesting, Michael, what's happened down the stretch here. We're seeing a lot of issues with the strike zone. Players, I think, have really, now maybe you could say because the games have become so much more important, but God, it's really fallen into question. And I really believe that the electronic strike zone is going to be more embraced now than I think people originally thought when it came out.
Everybody I work with, Cone doesn't, Al Leiter doesn't want it, O'Neill doesn't want it. Well, it takes a human element out. Then get rid of replay, too.
And also, it doesn't have to take the human element out. Like we said, you still keep an umpire to deliver the messaging.
Umpires.
Do you know John Cena weighed on this yesterday?
And what did John say?
He feels very strongly he does not understand. It came up when we brought up this Red Sox issue, and he said he just doesn't understand, with the technology we have, how there's not an infrared strike zone. It just doesn't make sense.
He's right. But I love it. Like, one of the defenses of the umpires, well, each umpire interprets their own zone. No. There's no interpretation. It's not art. It's like the speed limit's 55. That's the speed limit. So the strike zone is what the strike zone is. It shouldn't be interpreted differently by an umpire because of the mood he's in that day.
Not to mention,
my strike zone today would be tiny if I was an umpire.
Exactly. No. And by the way, that's very true, though. You really would. That's exactly what happens. And I think anyone who's played even in the most amateur level of baseball has had that experience of looking at an ump and being like, really? Like, this is what we're doing today? And for the record, they're trying to think of a million ways to make the game better and faster. This is the number one way. You expand the strike zone, you move the game faster.
I always hear the argument, I like the human element. Why do you like the human element? I don't understand
When you like the human element, let's not do vaccines anymore. Let's just have leeches, suck the blood out of it.
I like the animal element.
When they invented baseball, there was no other choice. But now we have different means to be able to change that. And I think once you let the what is the phrase, Michael? Once you let the cow out of the barn, or the horse out of the barn, whatever,
milk out of the udder,
it's gone. So you've already incorporated replay, and these strike zones, Michael. And I give the umpire credit. Right? How many times you just see the crowd, even an announcer go, oh, my God, what an awful call. And then they show the replay and you see, it was a half inch outside the box. Like, they're really good at what they do. But I'm with you. The interpretation of the strike zone, how some players get a different one than the other guy, that doesn't exist. It's not like you look at a wide receiver and say, he had a foot out of bounds, but he's the best wide receiver in the game. I mean, you have a rule.
Like Wade Boggs was up. If the pitch was an inch outside, it was called a ball because it was Wade Boggs. But if Joe Slobotnik came up, that same pitch is called a strike. That's not fair.
Now, the argument would be, well, what about a judgment call, Don? A lot of times a great wide receiver will get the benefit of the doubt if he pushed off because the rule shows that it is a judgment call and it's an interpretation. The strike zone is not up for interpretation. If you look at the rules, it's outlined pretty clearly what the strike zone is. Not, American League umpires have this, or this guy's got a smaller strike zone, this guy calls the high strike, this guy calls the low strike. That was created a million years ago. We know the rules. We know what it is, from the letters to the knees, the width of the home plate. That's the rule. And come up with whatever the strike zone's supposed to be. It shouldn't be up for interpretation. It shouldn't be a judgment call. Is it a strike or not?
Thanks for listening to the Michael K. Show podcast. Don't miss the guys weekday afternoons from 3 to 7 p.m. on 98.7 ESPN and on the Listen tab of the ESPN app.